You wake up early. You scroll through your phone. Someone is already running. Someone is working. Someone is winning. You haven't even gotten out of bed yet. And already, you're behind. This is the quiet pressure many of us live with, the invisible race we never signed up for. It's not just about working hard. It's about always doing more. More goals, more progress, more efficiency. Even rest has become a task to optimize, to justify, to earn. And in this mindset, there's one feeling that never quite goes away. I'm not doing enough. This is the illusion of productivity. It whispers, if you just try harder, you'll feel better. If you just keep going, you'll finally rest. But the truth is, the finish line keeps moving. Every time you achieve something, the goalpost shifts a little farther. Satisfaction is promised, but never delivered. So, where did this come from? Why do we feel guilty for slowing down? Why does it feel like failure just to stop? In this video, we'll explore the psychology behind the productivity trap, why we chase it, why it never feels enough, and how to begin stepping out of it slowly. Because maybe what you need isn't another productivity hack. Maybe it's permission to be human. There was a time when productivity simply meant survival. You worked to eat. You built to live. You rested when the day was done. But now, we don't just work to live. We work to prove our worth, our ambition, our discipline. Somewhere along the way, being enough stopped being about who you are and started being about what you do. You could finish a long day and still feel like a failure. Why? Because the checklist in your mind never ends. Even your moments of peace whisper, you could be doing more. This is the modern myth of constant self-improvement. It tells you that growth must be visible, that your value is measured by output, and if you're not producing, you're falling behind. But here's the psychological trap. The more you chase productivity to feel worthy, the more your worth feels tied to your performance. And that creates anxiety. You become afraid of rest, afraid of stillness, because stillness looks like laziness, and laziness feels like failure. But it's not failure. It's exhaustion from carrying the weight of invisible expectations. Let's go deeper. Let's explore how society shaped this pressure and why slowing down feels like rebellion. To understand why you never feel enough, we have to look at the culture around you. From a young age, many of us were taught, achievement brings approval. Rest is only earned, and success is measured in speed and volume. In school, praise came with grades. At home, love often came with good behavior. In work, recognition follows performance. Slowly, this idea forms. If I stop achieving, I might stop being loved, or seen, or valued. Add to that the rise of hustle culture. Social media filled with morning routines, side hustles, and constant progress updates. You're not just working, you're branding yourself. Now, productivity isn't just about tasks. It's about identity. You are what you do. You are what you produce. And here's the dangerous part. This pressure often hides in plain sight. You may think you're just being responsible, ambitious, or driven. But underneath, there's fear. Fear of falling behind. Fear of not being good enough without something to show for it. This mindset trains your nervous system to stay on alert. Even your rest becomes restless. Even your free time feels stolen. So when you finally stop, it doesn't feel like peace. It feels like guilt. But what if that guilt is a symptom, not a truth? In the next part, we'll look at how this chronic striving affects your mental health, and why burnout is not a personal failure, but a cultural symptom. Burnout doesn't always arrive with sirens. Sometimes it creeps in quietly. A little more tired each day. A little less joy in the things you used to love. You tell yourself, it's just a phase. I just need to push through. But pushing is the problem. Burnout is not just exhaustion. It's emotional depletion, a sense of disconnection from yourself, a kind of numbness that productivity can no longer fix. Psychologically, it's what happens when your nervous system never gets to exhale. When your mind is always on, your body eventually hits off. You might feel guilty for resting, but rest is not the opposite of progress. It's the foundation of it. Still, in a culture that glorifies overwork, burnout is seen as weakness. You're told to manage your time better or stay motivated. But burnout isn't about laziness or poor planning. It's about chronic emotional overload. It's your mind and body saying, this way of living is unsustainable. And yet, many of us keep going, afraid of what might happen if we slow down, afraid of who we'll be without constant doing. But here's the truth. You are allowed to pause before life forces you to. You are allowed to rest, not just recover. In the next part, we'll talk about the psychology of guilt and why slowing down feels wrong, even when it's exactly what you need. Why does doing nothing feel so heavy? You finally take a day off. No alarms, no plans, no tasks. But instead of peace, a quiet guilt creeps in. You start thinking, I'm wasting time. I should be doing something. I'm falling behind. This guilt isn't random. It's learned. For years, we've been conditioned to tie our self-worth to output, to see rest as a luxury, something you earn after proving yourself. So when you choose rest without achievement, your brain panics. It feels unfamiliar, unsafe. But here's the paradox. Rest is natural, but guilt has been made to feel normal. And that guilt, it's not a moral compass. It's a cultural echo, a leftover voice from a system that taught you your value comes from being useful. Psychologists call this internalized productivity shame. Even in moments of stillness, your inner critic keeps score. But ask yourself, where did that voice come from? Who benefits from you always being on? Rest is not a reward. It's a biological need. And your worth doesn't decrease when you pause. In the next part, we'll look at the deeper emotional cost of tying your identity to productivity, and why doing enough never truly satisfies the need to feel enough. There's a moment, quiet, but defining, when what you do becomes who you are. You're no longer just someone who works hard. You're the reliable one, the high achiever, the always busy person. And slowly, without noticing, you stop asking, "What do I want?" and start asking, "What should I be doing right now?" When productivity becomes identity, two things happen. You feel anxious when you're not doing. You feel empty when the doing ends. Psychologically, this is called enmeshment. When your sense of self becomes tangled with external roles, tasks, or expectations. So if you fail at something, you don't just feel disappointment. You feel like you are a disappointment. This is the trap. You keep producing, not just to succeed, but to protect your identity. But that identity is fragile because it's built on performance, not presence. You might say, "I don't know who I am without my work." And that's not weakness. That's a sign you've been surviving in a system that taught you to earn your existence. But you don't have to live that way. There is a you beneath the doing, a self that exists even in stillness, even in silence. In the next part, we'll explore how to begin reconnecting with that deeper self, the part of you that doesn't need to be earned, only remembered. So, who are you when you're not being productive? This question can feel unsettling, maybe even frightening, because for many of us, our entire sense of worth has been tied to action. We've forgotten how to just be. But beneath the layers of busyness, there is a quieter version of you, the one who feels joy without earning it, who doesn't need proof to deserve rest, who existed long before the to-do lists. Reconnecting with this self doesn't require big changes. It begins with small acts of permission. Permission to sit without reaching for your phone. Permission to go for a walk with no destination. Permission to rest without the need to explain it to anyone. These moments of stillness are not wasted time. They are how you rebuild trust with yourself. Psychologically, they help regulate your nervous system. They soften the fight or flight state of constant doing and create space for curiosity, creativity, and connection. It may feel strange at first. Stillness often does, because you've been taught to run, not to return. But the self beneath the doing is not lazy. It's alive. It's tired of being hidden behind performance. In the next part, we'll talk about how to slowly shift your mindset from productivity as proof to presence as purpose. You've been living in a mindset where doing equals value. But what if your deepest value has nothing to do with doing? Presence isn't flashy. It doesn't win awards. It's quiet, ordinary. But that's where life actually happens. When you're fully present, you're not measuring your worth by how much you've accomplished. You're noticing how you feel. You're actually living your life instead of performing it. Psychologically, presence pulls you out of survival mode. It anchors your attention in the now, not in the race toward the next thing. It lets your nervous system breathe. But presence is a practice. It's not something you achieve. It's something you return to. And yes, your mind will resist it. It will say, "You're wasting time. You need to be doing more. You're falling behind." That voice isn't truth. It's programming. Echoes of a culture that profits from your exhaustion. So what can you do? Start small. One mindful breath before a task. One moment of pausing before you respond. 1 hour without trying to be productive. Presence isn't a break from life. It is life beneath the noise. In the next part, we'll explore practical ways to step out of the productivity trap, not with pressure, but with gentle permission. Escaping the productivity trap isn't about quitting everything. It's about relating to your time, your goals, and yourself differently. Here are some gentle ways to begin. 1. Redefine success. Instead of asking, "Did I get enough done?" try asking, "Did I live today in alignment with what matters to me?" Connection, rest, kindness, these count too. 2. Schedule rest as a priority, not a reward. Put it on your calendar if you must. Not because you earned it, but because you need it. 3. Observe your inner dialogue. Notice when the voice says, "You should be doing more." Respond with compassion, not control. Say, I'm still worthy, even when I'm not producing. 4. Practice saying no. Every yes to something that drains you is a no to your well-being. It's okay to disappoint expectations you never agreed to carry. 5. Reconnect with slowness. Read slowly. Walk without your phone. Cook without rushing. Let slowness be your quiet protest against a world obsessed with speed. These steps may seem simple, but they're powerful, because every act of slowing down is a message to yourself. I don't have to prove my worth. I already have it. And that's where healing begins. Not in doing more, but in remembering that you were never broken. In our final part, we'll bring everything together and remind you of what truly matters when the noise of not enough finally fades. So here you are. You've chased the goals. You've stayed busy. You've tried to be productive enough, useful enough, worthy enough. But what if you never needed to be more? Only more present? The truth is, you are not a machine. You're not here to be efficient. You're not a project to be constantly optimized. You are a human being. And that means you are allowed to pause, to breathe, to feel, to not always be on. The illusion of productivity says, keep going, and maybe one day you'll finally feel like enough. But enough isn't a finish line. It's a state of being you reclaim. When you stop chasing and start listening. Listen to your body when it's tired, to your mind when it needs stillness, to your heart when it longs for something more gentle. There is courage in slowing down, in choosing presence over pressure, in remembering that your worth was never meant to be earned. It was always yours. So maybe today is not about doing more. Maybe it's about doing less, with more meaning, more care, more honesty, more self-compassion. You are not behind. You are not lazy. You are simply learning how to come home to yourself. One slow breath at a time.